I'll be the last one standing. 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle.
Hey guys, where's Pixie now? Well, I'm happen to be again in Charleston, South Carolina, in my home, sharing with you today an exciting episode of Spiritually Speaking. And if you tuned in last week, you realized that 8 was like a magical number for my good dear friend Marjorie, who joined us on our talk about infinity and what the number 8 meant to both of us. But today is episode number 9, which is my favorite number. So I know I'm going to remember this episode for a very long time because the number 9 really means a lot to me. I'm interested to find out if it ends up meaning very much to my good friend and co-host for today, Anastasia Smith. So without further ado, I've been so excited to get you actually sitting in the same room with me, even if it's virtually, because we have so much to talk about. And we're both such busy ladies that we rarely get the chance to catch up except for over texting and emailing every other minute. So thank you so much for joining me on Spiritually Speaking.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk and catch up and see what comes out of this conversation. I'm excited.
Well, I know that this audience is in for a real treat because Anastasia is truly, truly the epitome of the word Hera. And I want to talk about that for a minute, but think if you had the female version of hero, it would be Hera as we feminize it. And so Anastasia and I actually launched a exotic, exquisite, yummy, yummy rum called Hera after show us after her own namesake, Anastasia Hera.
Yeah.
Our tropical rum, which is yummy, yummy banana coconut, mixes well with a straw.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so I want to talk about that, how it's like to be out, launching as a female in a very male dominated industry, but you are no stranger to that with your music career and your just everyday career. So I don't know where to begin. Where do you want to begin? We want to share all about you with everybody out there.
Well, let's see. I guess let's talk about how we got to this point.
Okay.
Because, I would say that, as you mentioned, I'm a music artist, I'm a rap artist, and I couldn't have imagined, 5 years or 10 years ago that I'd be sitting here talking about something like this with somebody like you. So I guess we'll just start from there, how we got here.
Okay.
So, well, I tell people all the time, being an artist and a writer and a creator is not something that I do. It's something that I am. And I've found that when I'm true to that and I'll wake up in the morning and I write and I plan and I'm shooting off emails and just doing everything that I can to support my craft, the rest of the pieces just seem to fall in place. I take one step and then the universe takes 2, back in my direction. And so I guess just in the course of me doing music and making connections and networking, you and I were introduced by Doug Lofton, last year? Not even a year and a half ago at this point.
About that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't quite know what to expect, but I think, over the course of us talking and you asking me questions and me asking you questions. I think, we've got a really exciting product coming down the pipeline.
Oh, absolutely. I love your term craft, right? With every pun intended, because we are definitely creating award-winning craft spirits here. But to my pun, spiritually speaking, we come back to what is the spirit in a woman that makes her get out there and excel? Like you mentioned the music, you mentioned rapping, like you have so many accolades and awards for all the hard work that you put in. And I know it takes a minute to get there. So when was the first time that you literally stepped into the music world and said, I am going to be a kick-ass female rapper that everybody's shame?
Well, you know what? And it didn't happen overnight either. I feel like, I took a baby step, sort of a tentative, unsure, not on solid ground step, just kind of trying it out and seeing what the response was and seeing how I felt about it. And, I think the first few times out, like the first few times I went out and really tried to perform and share, I was nervous and I got discouraged. But I think the spirit that you're talking about is resiliency. I've got something that I want to say. I've got something that I feel like people need to see and hear and taste. And I'm not going to stop until I accomplish that. When I was first getting started, I had a dear friend that I was like, I'm not really sure whether or not, it might be a bit much, it might be outside of my wheelhouse. And he was like, no, even if you touch one person, then it's worth all the effort that you put into it. So I just try to keep that in mind. There must be someone else that can learn from my example or watch me go and say, you know what, I think I can do that too.
So were you musically inclined like as a young child? And then how do you move into like knowing, oh, I want to be a rapper? Now you touched on something that said I had a story to tell. So I'm wondering if that's somehow how it's connected. How do you know that you're going to be a country artist versus a rapper versus an indie? How do you come about to deciding that?
That's a good question. So I'm definitely musically inclined. I've always loved music my whole life. I think, though, when I was about 12 and we sort of entered a different era of hip hop, which was more about storytelling and, a little bit more poetic and lyrical. I think that's when I really identified with it and said, you know what, I think that that's something I can do. Again, just as a writer and me wanting people to really focus on my lyrics, that became very important to me. So it's
influencers.
My earliest influences, well, they're all over the place. I kind of grew up listening to classical music and then some world music and some reggae. So anything and everything, if it sounds good and feels good to my soul, I love it. But when it comes to rap music, acts like A Tribe Called Quest, they kind of had this abstract approach to things, so when they were flirting with the girl, it wasn't abrasive and rough. It was sweet and poetic and a little bit fresh and a little bit cheeky. And so I think that cleverness and that ability to play on words was something that I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And so rap is just where I happen to excel. I also did other things like play piano and sing in choir, and all those are really cool. But I think, sort of the individuality of, just the rapper and their lyrics and a microphone on stage, I think that is what appeals to me.
So for the audience that doesn't know where to find you, what would have been something like that you've worked on recently? Where did you recently perform, or what was an accomplishment that?
Let's see. I've done all sorts of things. Our local NPR affiliate, KUTX, we just did a live performance with them. So that would be up on KUTX.org under Anastasia Hera and the Heroes. I have an amazing live band that, helps me be mobile and relevant in this city. People used to call, or they still call, Austin the live music capital of the world. Sure. So, even as a rap artist who doesn't necessarily play an instrument out in public, you still need to speak that language. Your band and the musicians that hang out with you, that's your currency. That's what gets you into the venues, right? Which is another reason why, I think our union is so beautiful, because now, not only is my music in the venues, there's another aspect of my brand that's in the venue. So, everywhere that I'm doing music, Paratropical Rum should be there. Anywhere that Paratropical Rum is being consumed and purchased, I think my music should be there. So it all just goes hand in hand.
So what does that mean to you, the Hera Tropical Rum? And you're right, most of the venues that you're playing at are going to have a bar anyway, right? Yes, so you absolutely have the opportunity to really share a message through your music, right? And through your spirits. Yeah. So what does it mean to you? Like, why did you decide, oh, this would be really cool?
Because they work together. They work together, and I've learned that being relevant and, continuing to get the phone calls and getting booked for shows is being in people's faces, and for them to remember your name and remember what you bring to the table. And Hera is a way for my brand to be in the clubs even when I'm not there, or to be part of the conversation even when I'm not there. And, just from the artistic side of it, which is really what I'm most excited about, is I get to develop a vibe for the drink, so, maybe you get your bottle and I've got a soundtrack to go with that bottle. So it's got a breakup song, a celebration song, a love song, everything that you could possibly want to enjoy with your bottle of Hera Tropical Rum. I want to give you I want to grease those wheels, you know what I mean? Just by doing what I do. So that's what it means to me. It's just another way for me to use my talent to push my message and my product.
I hope people are taking notes because these are brilliant gems. These are pearls of wisdom. And I couldn't say it better myself. For you to be relevant in a conversation when you're not even in the room, and you've set the mood, you've set the style for the night, and you've got people talking about it. And once they've tried the product, I can testify that it's really amazing. Yeah. Then when you're not even in the room, they're like, oh, I'm going to have a Hera rum. And then, oh, remember when Anastasia did this or Anastasia said that? You're right. It just carries your name on while you're not even there. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So if there was something more, that was a whole mouthful, like really great stuff. But if there's something more that you want to impart to younger women, not necessarily at age, but younger along in their career, earlier in their career, to get to, I know the hustle and the drive, but to get to where you are, like what's some secret sauce that you could share?
Ooh, well, I would say, so I got a late start in this, because of life, raising children and trying to build a stable household that could support my dreams and, the things that I want to do. Of course, we all got to we got to take care of home first, but it's taken me leaps and bounds just to open up my mind, set my ego aside and learn from other women. We talk about it. You've been in the beverage industry, 30 plus years. You've heard and seen it all. So, now with me kind of maneuvering through and kind of seeing and witnessing certain reactions in person, I'm like, okay, I know that I'm not alone in this. I know, I feel like if I come to you with an issue, how to position something, how should I approach something, you are there to impart your experience and your wisdom. So I would say, surround yourself and associate with people who have walked those miles, and are willing to share with you. And then don't be afraid to give back, because I'm kind of cultivating my own little group of proteges and mentees here in Austin. And it's just one of those things that comes along with experience and then being able to share and give back just the way that people like you have given back to me.
I love it. I got goosebumps when you said that. I call them pixies in training.
Oh, and I love it.
It's so true because we're nurturers. So the more that we do give, we get our own serotonin boost by giving that give back. And then of course, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It simply transfers form. You can call it karma. You can call it good deed, whatever you call it, it comes back to you tenfold when you're giving forward. Right. And we know, so our sip and share program, our pour it forward program, sip and share is about how can we leverage what we're doing in the beverage industry to bring great, good things to our community. And I know that you're doing that all the crazy time. So more great words of wisdom. Surround yourself with mentors that will help elevate you, support you, and build you in your times and learn from your elders. We may not be as relevant or we are our technology's second language to those of us. What am I called? Oh yeah. Senior citizen. But you do, I look at my mom just turned 80 and I used to think until I was 40 that like, she knows nothing. From the time from my 40s till now, I'm like, oh my God, my mother's wisdom is irreplaceable. Even without the education, without the technology, without the journey that I took, her just ancient wisdom seems to be passed down generation to generation to generation. And there's all those secret little tidbits in there that are so wise. We could call them cliches, but they're cliches for a reason. Exactly. They're also powerful truths. So you are right on when it comes to that. So tell me, how did it feel when you got your first break, when you finally realized, okay, this went from being a dream to this is a reality? And I know the hard work that has to still, keep your pedal to the metal all the time, foot on the gas. But what did it feel like when you got your first break and you actually were like, I'm pretty good at this?
Yeah. Well, it happens incrementally, I think. Or at least it did for me. Because, I've always suspected I've always considered myself great at what I do. But then, there's a sometimes it gets lost in translation. You know what I mean? Sometimes the confidence doesn't read through and maybe other people don't pick up on it right away. So I think that, maybe the first time I really recorded a song and played it for somebody and got a really visceral reaction, like, whoa, what is that? And so the more that I got that sort of reaction, it pushed me to do more and create more and, take chances and be edgy. And that just grew. And eventually, I won my first Best Female Artist Award at the Austin Hip Hop Awards, which was like, oh, okay, so this is a bigger thing now. I know that people will vote for me, among my peers. I think that was one of the moments that I realized that I was being respected for my talent. So little things like that. And then, of course, local media, appearances at festivals like South by Southwest, that are world renowned. I think every little bit of that journey has just made me realize that, no, this is not just a fluke. You deserve to be here.
Yeah, you're glossing over those, but those are some pretty major accomplishments, really. Congratulations to you. I do know how hard you work. So it's even more heartfelt because I know how hard you work. And I know how tough the industry is for women. Food and beverage, hospitality, entertainment, it's all a struggle for women. And you're doing a great job paving the way. So I see you everywhere. I see you pop up with all your social media and you're active. I mean, you're everywhere. You think that's key to keeping relevant?
It is. But I will say that there is a way to do it, because I think that despite all the things that you see me doing, I'm an introvert and I'm a homebody. And, if I have my preference, I'd rather be at home in my sweats with my notebook writing, rather than out shaking hands. So I think that there's a way to set it up for yourself to look busier than you are. Or I would say maybe to reserve some peace, for yourself. Because I think we can get caught up in, let me get footage of this, let me snap that, let me do this, and let me, cultivate content, which of course we got to do, right, to stay relevant and competitive. But after a certain time, or when it's time for me to shut down and, power down my devices and just be alone with my thoughts, or, me and the dog, or me and the dog and the kid, I make sure that I set that time aside to recharge. So I think it's really about just honoring what you need as an individual.
That's really remarkable that, you say you were an introvert, right? So certainly you have mastered the skill to say, I got to take all these inner thoughts, and I would, if left to my own devices, I would just be in here in my sweats writing away, and turn it on to say, okay, now I'm so inspired to go and share my message with the world that I can move out of my introversion and move into an extroverted share, which you do seamlessly, by the way, and very well. And we're grateful that you do. But how do you come up with the inspiration that's having you drive those lyrics? Where are you drawing that inspiration from?
So it always, to me, well, I want to say, my first instinct is to say that it all comes from real life. They tell you to write what you know and, document your experiences. And then when you don't have anything to write about, they say it's because you need to go and live your material. So there's that side of it. But I also think that imagination has a great role to play. Not everything has to be, well, I went through this and I've seen that. Some of it can be painting a picture of what you want to see, in the world, what you want to see in your own life, painting the picture, where I want to be in 5 years. So I think there's a balance there. I write about what has happened. I write about what I want to happen. I write about what I don't want to happen. So, but I think what makes it easy to go public with these things and share and open up and be vulnerable is really believing in the product. Because I know how much work went into crafting this song and putting it together and choosing just the right words and refining and deleting and rewriting. I know the work that went into that. And I feel like that should be shared with other people. Same thing with the rum, we went through this. I said, well, it's important. I want to taste it before I put my name on it. You know what I mean? Because that's the closeness, the belief, the true 110% belief in the product makes it easy to not even sell, but share with someone else as a gift. I don't feel like I need to sell Hera Tropical Rum. I just feel like I need to go and smile at someone and say, hey, try this, and I'll bet you'll love it. And you know what the reactions are when people taste it. It's the same thing when I turn on a song and people's ears perk up. The first time they taste Hera, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't expecting that. And so that's what keeps me going. So now, on a Friday night, I could stay home in my sweats, but you know what? I got something greater that I want to go out and share with the world tonight. So let me go and meet and greet, let me go introduce people to something that they've never had before. And so, yeah, it's just really being connected to the product and feeling like it's your own and of you and honestly good all the way through. That makes it easy.
More words of wisdom. You are just amazing. So it's not a sell, it's a share. I love that. Okay. Yep. Awesome. And inspiration is coming from everywhere. I know we always say we've got to balance, work, home, life, career, but still, I also know as women, like we have goals, we have desires. What are you reaching for? What's the thing you want next?
Ooh, so I consider myself, I'm a girl from Texas, I'm pretty simple. My tastes are simple. I don't need a whole bunch of flash and posh luxury, but I do want to see more of the world. I do want to I haven't traveled since before the pandemic. And I think it's time to do that. I just put up some content yesterday that I filmed in Puerto Rico, 5 years ago. And, that time flew. But when I look at that footage and I hear the music and I can almost smell it, I'm transported back to that place. And I feel like it's really just time for me to move around and take myself and my message and my music elsewhere. You just never know how other folks might appreciate you, as a newcomer, as someone new on the scene. So I think that's what's next for me.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So if you have to, if now you're ready to produce your next song, right? And I know besides coming up with the content and the lyrics and all that has to go into the song, take us behind the scenes on how do you roll that out in today's digital age? I don't know that much about how you would do it from concept to because you're already established, right? So if you are a young artist out there who's saying, I want to figure out what the next steps would be for me to share my little creation, this little gem that I've created. Do you, in today's day and age, do you need to have an agent? Do you need to have a manager? Can you upload instantly to Spotify? What are the procedures for getting your voice heard?
Right. No, I think we're in an interesting place as artists and as independent artists who don't have that machine behind us, who, they've got focus groups and they've got it all figured out and they've got everything boiled down to the numbers. And there are several ways to go about it. That's the beautiful part as well. Maybe you decide if a lot of your following is on social media, then, I'm always going to advocate for having things well done. So definitely it's still necessary to go to a studio, to be professionally recorded, to be professionally mixed and mastered. And then if you're going to shoot a visual, to get a videographer and do all those things, all that's really important. But what you do from there is really up to you. Yes, you can go directly to Spotify. You can market yourself for all kinds of playlists and be heard. Hopefully, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a whole algorithm at play. There's still fees that you have to pay. Or if you've got a little bit of a following on YouTube, you put a lot of your focus into your visual because you know that the visual will carry the song. If you're in a city like I am, you get that song all the way together and then you go to the historic, venues on 6th Street or wherever in the live music capital. And you play in front of the crowd that can spread the word and get you booked elsewhere. So I think there are several different ways to attack it. And a lot of it really for us is trial and error. You know,
Yeah.
you figure out what works, you figure out where your reach is, who your demographic is. Like, that's something that I'm still working with, you know, because of course I want everybody to love me, you know,
Sure.
8 to 80, you know, male, female, what it doesn't matter. But knowing who your audience is and who's going to buy tickets to your shows and who's going to go, you know, pick up your rum off the shelf in the liquor store, you know, knowing who those people are and being able to reach them. So yeah, study and do your research.
So it sounds like there's still open opportunity, maybe even more so now than there used to be. So you shouldn't be discouraged if you're not totally connected, that there's avenues and availability for you to really make it. I know, looking at just like American Idol and The Voice over the years, how they changed, because it used to be you had to go and you had to do a live audition, right? And then over the years, they moved into accepting online digital auditions. So our times and our technology are changing so quickly that to get content delivered to the consumer, they have to be open to accepting and embracing talent from wherever it's coming from. And you see how many people go viral just from, like you were just saying, just appearing in a local park or getting people to back you up. So it sounds like you should never be discouraged, no matter what your lot in life is, that if you have a story to tell, you should move into telling that story.
Absolutely. And we're at a point now where your telephone, that's your megaphone. You know, you can reach anybody with it if you just know the right, you know, if you can just figure out the right combination, figure out where and how to be, you know, in the right place and at the right time. I think it's possible. And, you know, I don't think that the playing field has ever been more level for people that want to be heard.
That's just great. What else did you do or are you doing besides music? What are the other passions you have?
Ooh. Well, you know, I'm learning learning about the beverage industry step by step. So there's music, and then of course now Hera Tropical Rum under the umbrella. I don't know, you know, I've always kind of dabbled with everything surrounding running a music career. So, you know, for a lot of times, for a lot of years, I did my own graphics. You know, maybe I couldn't afford a graphic designer. So it's like, let me sit down and figure out how to make a passable flyer or, you know, any other kind of promotion. So there's that. I also dabble in videography. and not only that, but, you know, over the years, I've kind of developed this way of with words. And I'm also kind of selling myself as a personality. You know, I'm more than just what I write. I think that, you know, in how I present, there's a lot of value in that as well. So just growing that part, you know, I take vocal lessons, and, you know, my voice teacher, she can teach you how to sing, but she can also teach you how to use your voice effective. So all the little things that go into support my main thing that I do, there's all kind of offshoots and all kind of little other pathways that I can take. So anything having to do with media and entertainment, I'm working on it.
That's crazy. So were you born in Austin? Are you like an Austin girl or?
Well, I was born in San Antonio, actually, about an hour and a half. Yeah, just about an hour and a half up the road. But I've been in Austin all my life. So yes, and I think that I'm fortunate to be here because, you know, it's kind of this clash of cultures, but like in the best way, you know? So, you know, we kind of had our traditional community where we went to school and church, but then, you know, on the other side of the highway, you had like the University of Texas and a big, you know, hippie community. That's who they were back then, you know, hippies, and Austin is weird. So, you know, you kind of get this mix of tastes and mix of exposure that kind of makes you able to move in different circles. I feel like it's a superpower. Like, I can't imagine me becoming me any other place other than Austin.
I agree. I think it's amazing. So you mentioned church and you mentioned choir. What did you do? And I imagine this started when you were young, probably in grade school, right? Yeah. So what did you sing in the choir?
Well, we went to a little family church for many years. So, you know, you got the dad is the pastor and the mom is, you know, she runs the usher board. And we had their daughter was our choir director. She was 19 years old, and she wrote all of the songs herself. So she'd write the songs during the week, and we'd come in to choir practice, maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday night, and she'd play the song, and she'd teach us the lyrics, and then she'd give the altos their part, and the sopranos their part, and the tenors their part. And I think just sitting back and seeing how a song comes together and, how the music works with the voices and the vocal, that kind of is what turned me on and said, you know what, I think music is something that I want to do. And then in school, same thing, choir. And we had not only regular, very, traditional choir, but we had a gospel choir. And, there were these national competitions that our gospel choir. So we kind of had this mix of, regular mainstream stuff, but also super culturally rich influences as well.
That is just good stuff.
Yeah.
So what were you? Are you soprano? You would think, you're probably alto. Are you soprano 1, soprano 2, or did you have such diversity you could do it all?
Right, that part. But I think officially on paper I'm a mezzo soprano. So in between the soprano and an alto, I'm pretty flexible. And now with kind of just learning how to use my instrument better, my range has increased, which is great. But I don't know, as long as it's, singing is, I say, I know I'm a rapper. I've been a rapper forever, but singing is my first peg. When I wake up, or if if you're in the same building with me, if you hear me singing, you know that I'm happy. I'm one of those people. And it rubbed off on my kids too, my boys, they're big now, young men, but you still even hear them, walking around the house, singing cute little songs. So I think that has been just just being able to express myself with music and melody. That's who I am.
So you mentioned boys. How many boys do you have?
2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do they sing? Besides singing with you for happiness, are they entering a singing career? Is it genetic?
I think just them being exposed to it all the time. Like I'm one of those people that, if you've ever ridden in a car with me before, you probably had to tell me to shut up. Like we know you know this song. You don't have to sing everything that comes on the radio. Yes, I do. But I will say that they are both musically inclined. My older son, he plays the bass. He produces, he doesn't do it now because he's living life and, doing what he does. But my younger one, he plays lead guitar and he kind of has this punk goth edgy things. So I think it's cute. And, they've been able to develop their own tastes, but yeah, they were raised around just sort of the beauty and expression of music, and they picked up on it.
So are they like over the moon proud of what you're doing right now? Or they're like, really, Mom? That's how my kids are. My kids are always like, really, Mom?
I think when I first started, there might have been a little hesitancy, especially as I said, well, I'm going to be rapping. And, a lot of female rap tends to be pretty raunchy. Mm-hmm. But I think that they had to come around to trusting me that, everything that I do, I've got them in mind. I don't think I've ever made any music that I couldn't let them listen to. Them, my parents, my so it's always been a matter of just being considerate of who's listening. And, I decided that I would be true to myself and not expose too much. There's some parts of me that are available, on record, on wax, on paper, whatever. And then some parts that I like to keep for myself as well. And they get it. And so now they're at the point that they fully know Mom's not going to embarrass them or anything. So do
you get nervous when they're in the audience?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
Never. Because my content is always like, you want to go to the show with me? And sometimes they say no, sometimes they say yes, and it's the same show. And then, with Austin being the kind of place that it is, you're always, playing some family friendly, park or something like that. So I've just cultivated a catalog of, family friendly music.
I won't put you totally on the spot. I'll give you a minute to think about it, but I'm going to ask you, like, from a lyric perspective, like, what's your favorite lyric? Hey, you're welcome to sing at any time during this interview. I should have told you.
Right.
You can definitely give us a line, but be thinking about that in the back of your head. I'll have you walk us out with your one of lyrics that are important to you. But I just want to ask you one more thing, because I know that you've engaged a lot of listeners right now who want to learn from you and be in your shoes. And I've heard amazing testimonies about you, about the people around you, about even some of your mentors who have said that, that you've said you appreciate them and they've said they appreciate you. Right. So you talked about the influence in the past. If you could be with any artist, I know this is a biggie, with any artist moving forward. And remember, I'm a pixie for a reason. So, I might wiggle my pixie nose and grant the wish, but who's an artist you would want to be performing with in your future?
Ooh, that is a hard question, because, it forces me to ask myself where I'm going musically. And I don't always know. It's just, whatever comes up. So no, there are these dream collaborations that I've always had. So there are always people that I'd love to just be a fly on the wall and watch their studio sessions. I don't know if you're familiar with the vocalist named Tweet. She had I love her, and her voice is just this soothing, and she's embraced like her Southern heritage. She's got a lot of like slide guitar and acoustic guitar on her stuff, and she's not afraid to be versatile and just kind of encompass all of her musical influences. Artists like that, I think that, kind of underrated, but that there's something to learn from, from their willingness to experiment and try new things and not just kind of follow mainstream trends.
Sure. That's okay. Who else do you want to perform with?
Well,
come on, dream big. Let me have it.
Okay. So
it doesn't have to be a musical artist. Literally, if I could wiggle my nose, who would you want me to walk into your room?
I still want to work with Jay-Z. I still want to, in some capacity, even if I never get the spirit, I want to spit a lyric. I think something like that would make me completely nervous and I'd trip over myself. But somebody that's been able to take, just this natural God-given talent for words and flipping words, and then just turn it into a business and a successful one, and an image and a dynasty and a kingdom. And, he built that, and I've watched it. And I think I could do that too. So somebody of that magnitude, I would love to just pick their brain or get some feedback or whatever it happened to be.
I think you could do that too. I know there is no stopping you. So I am your hugest supporter. And I think that's a good thing to hold out there. We're going to get that done. Yeah. Share with the listeners, though, where we're going to put this all up on the screen for follow-up, but also just let everybody know how they can follow you on social media and the best way to reach you.
Yes. So on social media, everything is Anastasia Hera. Anastasia Hera, right? So on Instagram, Anastasia_Hera_, Twitter, Anastasia_Hera. You can find me on YouTube, all the major platforms. I've got my latest project, This Is Anastasia, is up on Spotify right now. Got new music coming to the scene. There's always something new going on. If you go to AnastasiaHera.com, you can link to anything that I'm doing.
And where are you performing live next for people who want to catch you live?
Yes. So actually this Saturday, I'll be performing with my band for Summer Jam. Summer Jam is a big yearly show that's thrown sort of by our local community radio stations. They all kind of come together and curate this awesome lineup of artists. So I'll be doing that. And then Ham Day, which is the Health Alliance of Austin Musicians. They go to support a lot of health initiatives to artists who don't always have that health insurance, and the things that we all need to stay happy and healthy and be able to chase our dreams. So we'll be doing that on September 16th, also here in Austin. But again, AnastasiaHera.com, and you can see anything that I have coming up.
That's amazing. Well, God bless you, young lady, because
Thank
those
you.
blessings have certainly been bestowed back upon us. You are a treasure and a treat, and I love you to pieces.
Thank
And
you.
it couldn't be better to have a Spiritually Speaking with Pixie Paula episode number 9, because again, it's the world's perfect number. It's literally the world universal number of perfection is the number 9. So it means so much to us and how we operate numbers in the world. So I'm glad that this episode was shared with you. And I promise to say, I want to hear those lyrics, or I want to at least hear that musically or speaking. Carry us out into Spiritually Speaking. Go for it the best that you want.
I'll tell you what, also, I didn't get a chance to thank you. So I want to thank you for sharing with me, for guiding me along this process. And, I think just watching how you move, watching how you move has been like a great, like priceless education for me. So I just want to say that I appreciate you as well.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Okay. So let me see. How am I feeling today? I think I'm gonna rap today.
Go ahead.
Okay. This one is this one is called Lift Off. What I did was I was like, well, I never got to meet my great-great-grandmother or my great-great-great-great, but you know what? My great-great-great-grandkids are going to have a way to meet me because I'm going to record songs for them. So this is what came out of that. Okay. Everything's risky till everything's crispy. Everything hits me that everything's history. Everything simply, everything get me. Everything tempts me, but everything is empty. I give everything in me for everything to miss me. Message to the future, know my grandkids listening. Do you want a masterpiece? Make everything sistine. What's flattery, y'all? Everything's ending. Every man will challenge. Hold your balance. Doesn't matter. You just keep sprinting. Offer no collateral. Foster your ministry. Rebel. Be a radical, son. You got it honest because your grandmother was magical. Everything practical is everything applicable. Nothing beats the message when you love who you rapping it to. Life is what happens to you. Snap and you're trapped in it too. Cooler heads prevail. It's a skill. I'm going to pass it to you. Everything is nothing without passion. Everything you want requires action. Everything's a question. Answer in your own fashion, but forward. Anyone can tell you anything. You decipher everything. You better know it. Lastly, everything is yours. Make everything work even when everything hurts. Aside from everything, please know your own worth. Aspire to the heavens, set fire to the earth, and conquer everything. That's it.
Oh, it's pure brilliance. I am on fire. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. This voice, I will concentrate my very best on making sure it is heard. Thank you so very much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tune in again next week for episode 10 of Spiritually Speaking with Pixie Paula. And remember, you are a miracle.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.